How much would you pay for a vehicle that can do this? This is the Ford Bronco, and everybody gets this that has ordered one. It's available in 2-door and 4-door configuration. Yesterday, Ford announced or revealed that the Bronco is going to be completely modular. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, of course, with the Jeep, you can take off some of the panels too, but it's a little bit more difficult. So we're going to do a quick comparison in this video. But first, I want to actually talk about what Ford is doing here. When Ford developed the Bronco, obviously they looked at the competition. Obviously, the #1 competition is the Jeep Wrangler. So of course, you can take parts off the Jeep Wrangler, but here's what Ford is doing. Here's what they're saying. The 2- and 4-door Ford Bronco SUV's patented off-road modular design offers a user-friendly platform that can be stripped to its base structure so that alternate doors, fenders, and grille can be added in an afternoon. So this is very significant because this enables the aftermarket to do some very, very cool stuff. Remember these renders? You've probably seen these. This is our friend Mo Own. Sorry if I keep mispronouncing your name, Mo, but you're a cool guy and you make really cool renders. So I think it would be amazing if you can take your base Bronco, your 2-door, or in this case your 2-door Bronco, and add on fenders that look like this, and even the front grille. So that's going to be possible now with the Bronco. I think the aftermarket is going to come in with some really interesting stuff, some really interesting wide body kits that might allow you to run bigger tire sizes, for example. Maybe you could even do something like this. Well, this is a designer called Adri53 Customs, and I think that's got a V8 in there. So let me know down below in the comments, would you do something like this to your Bronco? The concept behind this is pretty simple. I think Ford wants to give you a really, really versatile vehicle that a lot of people can access and make their own modifications to without having to have a mechanic's license. So they're talking about things like building an open-air rock crawler so you can do some rock crawling one weekend with your doors off and have everything wide open. And then the next weekend, go camping maybe in the mountains where it's going to be raining or snowing and you're going to have some inclement weather, and you can put everything back on and have a camper top. So they're saying that in an afternoon you should be able to make all these changes to your Bronco and completely change the look and feel of it. With that said, let's take a look at Ford's official video on this, and they're going to show you how easy, or if you consider it difficult, this is to do, and then we'll talk about some of the specifics. What's pretty unique is that you can take off the front fenders with a lot less work than you can on the Jeep. Because the front fenders have a substantially different design than they do on the Jeep, you're actually going to be able to get a more modified type look. So on the Jeep, it is possible to take off the fenders, or the fender flares, if you want to call them. There's a video here, I'm going to put it up on screen for just a second, and a link to this guy's channel. He's very good, actually, that shows you how you can take off the fender flares on a Jeep. The biggest difference with the Bronco is you can take off the entire fender, not just the fender flare, and it's much easier to do. Car and Driver did a very good article on this, and you should definitely go check that out if you are thinking about buying a Bronco, or maybe even if you have a Jeep. And they do what they call a door-to-door battle, where they compare the ease or relative difficulty of taking off the doors. So the biggest difference here with the Bronco and the Jeep is that the Jeep has framed doors and the Bronco doors are frameless. So one advantage, I guess, with the Jeep is that if you want to hang up the doors in your garage, for example, you can just put some cloth and sort of hang the top of the door, hang the door on a wall with some hooks. So that is kind of an advantage. Obviously with the Bronco, you're probably going to have to put it down on the floor. So sort of an advantage going over to Jeep there. But on the other hand, according to Car and Driver, and I haven't done this myself, it is a lot easier to take the door off of the Bronco than it is the Jeep. This video doesn't show it too closely, but it does show one guy taking the door off of the Bronco. Now, the biggest difference, I think, between the Bronco doors and the Jeep doors is that on the Bronco, the hinges are sort of hidden inside the doors, where on the Jeep they are external, so you have an external design. And I've tried to take the doors off of a Jeep. It's a little bit difficult with one person, definitely more difficult with two people to put them on, because you sort of got to line up these hinges and get the screw, the bolt in there quite carefully. So with one person, it's quite difficult. There is also a weight difference between the Bronco door and the Jeep door too. Now Ford says that the Bronco doors on the two-door are about 60 pounds, a little bit under 60 pounds, and they're about 40 pounds or so on the four-door. Compared with the Jeep, that's about 10 pounds lighter on the two-door Jeep, and with the Wrangler Unlimited, with the four-door, it's actually fairly similar. And at least according to Car and Driver, it's a little bit more work to remove the door from the Jeep than it is from the Bronco. And in the Jeep, you've got to use a Torx, and on the Bronco, you can just use a 10mm socket to get the doors off. And the Bronco uses a steel stopper for the doors, and on the Jeep, you've got a strap type thing. So anyways, I haven't done it myself. I'm looking forward to doing it, and I am looking forward to getting into a Bronco soon. I've got the Bronco Sport coming as a press car review in a couple of weeks, so I'm pretty excited about that actually. If you're wondering how long it's gonna take to get a door off, it's pretty fast. According to Ford, the frameless easy air doors can be removed in minutes by anyone of any size by taking off two bolts and disconnecting an electrical connector. So that's it. Each door takes between 2 and 4 minutes to remove, depending on the skill level of the customer. I know some people have had some questions about the safety or lack thereof when removing the doors and the fenders and all this kind of stuff when you're going off-road. So Ford has actually proactively addressed it. They say that when the design intent of body parts are removed for off-road use only, fenders, quarter panels, doors, and roof, the Bronco 2 and 4-door models retained all of the federal motor safety standards. That's what Ford is saying. I'm not quite sure what that standard actually is, but there's another significant difference too, in that on the Bronco, you've got the mirrors which are actually attached to the body, and on the Jeep, the mirrors are attached to the door. So whether you think that's an advantage or not sort of depends on your use case. For example, if you're going on really narrow trails, you might want to have those mirrors come off. On the Bronco, you've got to fold them in. So kind of depends what your use case is. I think it's an advantage to leave the mirrors on personally. That's just sort of the way I look at it, because I think there's going to be more times when you're going to want the mirrors than when you're going to want to not have the mirrors on there. There's a toolkit that Ford gives you which allows you to take all these panels off. So on the two-door Bronco, on the Badlands, you get 3 roof panels. The 4 doors have 4 roof panels, which is an option because the base is a convertible. Now I think it goes without saying that you need 2 people to get the entire roof structure off. Ford says that 1 person can take off the individual panels, and so that's kind of nice if you're just wanting to cruise around town. But if you want to take the whole top off, you definitely need 2 people. None of these, I would say, are particularly easy to do. Taking off the roof on a Jeep is definitely a 2-person affair. You need some space for it as well. The Bronco looks to be similarly easy or difficult depending on how you look at it. I'm sure Ford would argue that it's a little bit easier, but the reality is both of them are a fair bit of work to get the entire roof off. Now, a lot of people in the comments and other places have been complaining they're not going to buy a Bronco until it gets a V8. Mongo want V8. Well, I have a solution for you, Mongo. It's called the Jeep. Yes, the Jeep, you can get a 392 V8 in there, and you can get it almost right now. In fact, you can go on the website and configure it. And if you're wondering how expensive or how cheap a 392 Rubicon might be, let's take a quick look. And oh look, it starts at $75,000. So it is not cheap at all. Now fortunately for your 75 grand, it does come almost completely loaded. You got some paint options, they're all about the same color. You can get a satin black grille, which I think that looks really good actually, and some graphics and so forth, and some different wheel choices or some different tire choices, but that's really about it. So for about 75 grand, you can get your V8 Jeep. And if you are complaining about the Bronco not having one, well, you should either get an old Bronco or you should get a Rubicon with a 392. That is my recommendation. Or you just can keep complaining on the internet forever because that's what people love to do. So, hey, sorry Mongo, no V8 for you, at least not in this generation. By the way, Ford has about 200,000 of these vehicles that have been ordered so far. So if you ordered one, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit unless you got your order in super early, because the build date, apparently production is going to start, still a bit of a rumor, it's apparently going to start on March 29th. By the way, if you're new here, please subscribe. We're almost at 70,000. I just need about 150 of you to subscribe. Gonna make my weekend really good, so do it for me.